Kia ora, good evening. I'm Dave Gooselink. Well, roads were reopened and conditions eased on Wednesday after a wintry blast brought snow and travel disruptions to the south. A raft of southern roads were closed earlier this week owing to ice and snow, with the snow causing road crashes and flight delays.
Covered in snow as the late wintry blast continues in central Otago, leaving residents both frustrated and excited. In Frankton, motorists were struggling with the sudden dumping, with a number of accidents on the slippery roads. Several fender benders blocked roads for a time, with other drivers pulling off the road for safety, planning to wait out the snow. One motorist gave up driving altogether, parking her van on the side of the road and calling her partner to pick her up.
Yeah, I've just come around the corner and it seemed to be carnage down this street, so my truck started slipping and I certainly don't want it dinged up, so I pulled in here and called my partner. So hopefully we get it home.
There was a heavy dumping of snow at Queenstown Airport that caused a number of flights to be cancelled or delayed, crews working hard to try and clear the runways and surrounding airfield. On the other side of the basin, Arrowtown residents took to the streets alongside tourists, keen to make the most of the wintry event. A variety of snowmen popped up all over the old mining town, while other locals made their way towards the Arrow River, enjoying the flurries on their walk.
We saw the forecast yesterday, sort of wondering whether it was going to snow, but it was a nice surprise waking up to it, yeah.
We're all Aucklanders, and we're not used to this weather.
No.
We woke up and we're like, what's this white stuff coming from the sky?
Roads began to reopen from early afternoon as the snow eased around the region. However, Wakakotahi NZTA is still advising motorists to take care in the changeable wintry conditions. In central Otago, the South Today.
And that wintry blast brought snow, sleet and strong winds to regions across the lower South Island as the week's cold snap continued.
August has brought a chilly wintry blast to the south, with snow falling in many places. Along with Queenstown, there were also large falls in inland Otago, including Naseby, Ranfurly, St Bathans and Oturehua. The Central Otago District Council was urging caution around the Maniatoto area, with Danzi's Pass Road closed late on Wednesday morning due to snow and ice. Dunedin's hillside suburbs also got some flurries of snow, following on from yesterday's gale-force winds, which caused waves to crash over the Portobello Road causeway. The snow dumping was particularly heavy on Fiordland's Milford Road, with Wakakotahi crews using large snowplows fitted with chains to help clear sections of the road. State Highway 94 was reopened to traffic, with caution around 1 p.m, although further snow showers are forecast and expected to settle. Motorists across affected regions are being urged to use caution and drive to the conditions. Heavy snow watches remained in place for Clutha, Southland and Fiordland until early this evening. Across the South Today.
A petition's been launched in Invercargill in the hopes that students aren't left out of pocket. Southern Institute of Technology may be losing its fee freeze scheme, putting the city's population at risk of a major decline.
A Porphyry welcoming the most recent intake of students to the Southern Institute of Technology. SIT have had their zero fees scheme for over 20 years, but now its future is up in the air after their merger into the nationwide organisation Te Pukenga. The scheme was introduced in 2001 in an effort to attract more students to the south, with a total of over $7 million contributed by locals. But now its future is only confirmed until the end of next year.
At the end of the day, with regards to the community strategy of attracting young ones, because we all know we've got an aging population, education is the best way of doing so.
Guha is the former Chief Financial Officer of SIT and a key architect of the zero fees scheme. Now a student there, he's launched a petition to try and save the scheme. He estimates his Level 4 course is costing him around $2,500 less than it normally would, all thanks to zero fees. SIT is the only tertiary provider in New Zealand to offer such a scheme, and Guha believes its removal would create a lot of uncertainty for the region as a whole.
From the year 2018 to 2022, the economic impact of SIT on the region because of zero fees is $500 million.
The petition calls on the House of Representatives to remove SIT from the tertiary reforms, gaining almost 300 signatures already and hoping to have over 1,000 by late August.
It's hugely important. Pre-zero fees back in 1999, there were about 1,400 students at SIT. Now SIT has over 4,000 and we were over 5,000 at one stage.
A spokesperson for Te Pukenga says they understand and support the objectives of zero fees, but they've not yet resolved the longer-term future of the scheme, expecting decisions to be made in the near future. In Invercargill, the South Today.
A long-awaited bridge in inland Otago has been completed, the project almost 2 years in the making. The new Beaumont Bridge was originally soft-launched to the public last weekend, with pedestrians beating the traffic for a special walk across.
Taking their first steps on 20 months of hard work. Pedestrians got the chance to beat rush hour on Sunday afternoon, walking over the new Beaumont Bridge before it opens up to vehicles. Waka Kotahi's newly constructed 2-lane bridge over the Clutha River attracted people from around the regions, keen to check out the impressive structure.
But this is the public's only opportunity to do what you're never allowed to do, which is walk on the road and see what it's like.
Construction on the 195-metre-long bridge started in 2021. The project's costing $25 million, with the new bridge replacing the original one-lane bridge on State Highway 8. More than 1,500 people turned out for the soft opening, many reminiscing about the old bridge, which will be repurposed for the Clutha Gold Rail Trail.
The contrast between a modern bridge and the old 135-year-old single-lane wooden bridge that was really built for horse and cart and still today is doing its job carrying traffic. You know, that contrast couldn't be stronger.
Taieri MP Ingrid Leary and Clutha Mayor Brian Cadogan launched the walkthrough ceremony, with the bridge's formal opening set to take place later this year. Kegel says the huge turnout for the event shows just how important the Beaumont Bridge is to the local community. In Beaumont, the South Today.
Iwhai Akine still to come on Southern Newsweek. A Central Otago orchard leads the way in the horticulture industry with its environmentally friendly tractor, and a group of Otago University students on a mission to raise awareness on men's mental health. Welcome back. A Mount Pisa area orchard has found the last piece of its puzzle, making it what could be the world's first fully electric, zero fossil fuelled orchard. Staff from Forest Lodge showed off their new electric tractor last weekend and hope to inspire other farmers to take steps towards a more environmentally friendly future.
Driving a tractor without a driver. The Forest Lodge orchard giving the MKV Monarch tractor a ride on Saturday as the country's first ever driver-optional electric tractor. Staff from the Cromwell Cherry Orchard demonstrated the tractor's self-driving settings while also letting guests take it for a spin. This new piece of equipment will help the cherry farm become what's believed to be the world's first fully electric zero fossil fuel orchard.
Today was all about launching it and showing as many people and sharing it, so that in the hope that we can start to do more to electrify horticulture and viticulture in New Zealand.
The tractor was shipped over from California from tech startup company Monarch, with the orchard being their first export outside of the United States.
We're smart, we're innovative, and so if they want a test bed for this tractor, then this is the perfect place to be in the Southern Hemisphere.
Around 150 people attended the launch of the electric tractor, and Climate Change Minister James Shaw hopes this will help get the ball rolling for other farmers.
And if we can be the first country in the world to have electric-only, zero fossil fuel food production, that would be tremendously exciting for us as a country.
Owner Mike Casey says now they've sorted out all the issues with adjusting the American equipment to NZ power grids, he's working towards automating a series of mundane tasks with the help of the self-driving tractor. In Cromwell, the South Today.
A group of Otago University students have been putting in a marathon effort in an effort to raise money for men's mental health. Calling themselves the Heavy Breathers, the guys are preparing to run this year's Dunedin Marathon. Their overall goal is to help remove the stigma of men talking about their problems, a subject that hits close to home.
taking steps in the right direction for men's mental health as the heavy breathers train for this year's Dunedin Marathon. This large group of 33 Otago University students are raising money for Misfit Productions as part of their efforts, with the goal of sparking conversations between men. They're concerned there's a stigma around men talking about their problems, their marathon efforts taking on extra significance after one of the group lost a brother to suicide.
We're kind of trying to show that like we're a group, we're breathers down here in Dunedin, we're all mates and we can talk, and that means that everyone else can.
The guys have been training for the 42-kilometre marathon for around 10 weeks. They admit none of them were runners before this, but are confident they're almost ready for the big day.
I would say boys are tracking, and I can guarantee that no one will not finish, because that's just not what we're about.
The heavy breathers have already managed to raise over $50,000 for mental health through their Give a Little page. That's past their original goal, which has now been up to $75,000.
We're going to push ourselves to get there, and if we go above that, like we already kind of have to our last ones, then that's amazing.
The university students will hit the pavement for the Dunedin Marathon next month and hope their efforts will help encourage other men to speak up and look for help. In Dunedin, the South Today.
It was a fashionable few days last weekend in Gore as the district's iconic fashion show hit the runway. The Hokanui Fashion Design Awards left audiences in awe as some of the country's top budding designers' work strutted down the catwalk.
TV presenter Hilary Barry swapping out the studio for the catwalk as she tries her hand at modelling. The rural town of Gore was glammed up over the weekend as this year's Hokanui Fashion Design Awards put the spotlight on the district. The fashion show was held over 2 days at the Gore Town and Country Stadium, with entries coming from across the country. Southland farmer Debbie Smith won the People's Choice Award, as well as the avant-garde open section, with her earth-inspired garment that has 2 million stitches.
I called the garment Papa Tuanuku Earth Mother, and it was my nod to the history of New Zealand. So it actually tells a story about how New Zealand came about. So I hope I did that proud.
This was the 35th year of the Hokanui Awards, proving popular with audiences from around the region, as models showed off the garments in front of a capacity crowd. Otago Polytech student Molly Marsh claimed top honours with her tennis-themed garments, which were created as an ode to her childhood.
The creativity that I get to explore is so wide, and I think being able to share that with other people makes it really special.
11 categories were showcased at the fashion show, with designers ranging from high school students through to rural farmers. Judge and Huffer brand founder Steve Dunstan says he was blown away by the talent on display and believes the future of New Zealand fashion is in good hands. In Gore, the South Today.
Well, Dunedin streets were full of cheering fans and school children last week as they marched their way to Dunedin Stadium for the Women's Football World Cup. Some schools were let out early so the young fans could show their support at the Argentina versus South Africa match.
Cheers and drums echoing outside Dunedin Stadium as a sea of blue cheer on the Argentinians. The Women's Argentina versus South Africa Football World Cup match was held in Dunedin on Friday afternoon, with fans and school pupils marching together along the streets before the game. Many local schools were let out early, allowing the pupils to experience the live atmosphere of the Women's World Cup.
A lot of very keen kids have not gone to something big like this before. A lot of them haven't even been to the stadium. So this is a perfect opportunity to show our support.
Argentina looked set to have the lion's share of vocal fans, with a group of dedicated supporters making the journey from Queenstown to enjoy the game. School teachers say the game will be an awesome experience for the pupils, with the rare opportunity to attend such a big event, the game even leaving some students inspired.
It's like watching men's football, it's cool, but you know, it's like, we're seeing women's football, it's like, yeah, no, I could do that, I could be there.
Despite going 2-0 down, the Argentinian fans weren't deterred, cheering their team into a late flurry of goals, ending the game at a 2-2 draw. In Dunedin, the South Today.
It was just 3 years ago that Southland-born Dylan Schmidt became New Zealand's first Olympic medalist in gymnastics. Now another young Southland trampolinist is carving out a name for himself after claiming 4 gold medals at last month's National Gymnastics Championships.
Tumbling, flipping and sticking the landing, 14-year-old Jacob Anderson is jumping his way to new heights. The trampolining champion from Invercargill has an extra spring in his step after taking out 4 gold medals at the New Zealand Gymnastics Championships in Tauranga. He's been competing in the sport for 5 years now, taking on 8 hours of training a week. But trampolining wasn't where he started.
I started doing the artistic stuff, but I wasn't very good at that, and my coach suggested that I tried the trampolining side of things, and I was a lot better at that.
He believes the secret to his success is simply performing tidier moves than his competitors, with his coaches feeling the athlete has a lot of potential.
He did really, really well. I'm really proud of how he went. Honestly, some of the stuff he does I can't even do when I competed, like kind of scary, like watching it all, but like he's done really well. He's trained really hard. And I'm really proud of how hard he's worked and gotten as far as he has.
The heights the young trampolinist has reached by the age of just 14 is already inspiring the next generation of Southland gymnasts.
It's quite encouraging for the young ones to see it, yeah. So and seeing all the big skills and just the gold medals that are being brought in, it's really nice, yeah.
Jacob says he'd like to compete internationally one day, and his coaches are already eyeing up the possibility of bigger Australian competitions, feeling that Jacob Anderson may well be a name to look out for in the future. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Whai Akene still to come on Southern Newsweek. A vocal little dog has been training hard for a mission to save some endangered native frogs. And the Frisbees were flying in Queenstown for a popular annual disc golf tournament. Welcome back. Well, native New Zealand frogs may have a new knight in shining armour, a 5-year-old dog with a nose for conservation. Holly, the duck-tolling retriever, has been hard at work training to save endangered species, one frog at a time.
Scoping out some lush bush in Dunedin, this pup is on a very important mission. Holly, the Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, is preparing to start work for the Department of Conservation as the first native frog certified sniffer dog in the country. Owner Debbie Bishop has been training 5-year-old Holly since the dog was a puppy. She's now able to sniff out and identify native New Zealand frogs with a classic toller squeal.
So it's just to have another tool in the toolbox for conservation to go and find these frogs because they're very elusive.
Bishop and her late husband, frog researcher Phil Bishop, decided to train Holly as their retirement plan, completing extensive training until she was ready to take to the field. Holly will be working with a team of dock rangers to sniff out native frogs in the wild, like these endangered Archie's frogs seen at Auckland Zoo.
The big picture with the frogs is that they're declining, as with many species of frogs, and they are very endangered. And they go globally distinct in the sense that they don't have eardrums like all the other frogs.
Holly has been training well with frogs from Otago University's zoology department, with Bishop looking forward to her furry friend helping to conserve native frog species. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A North Otago man is giving kids an outlet to have fun on cold and rainy days with a toy that's been used throughout the last couple of generations. The Lowburn entrepreneur is offering some safe and energetic fun by hosting indoor Nerf games for members of his community to come and enjoy.
Shooting foam pellets at your friends is a fun and active way to ward off the wintry blues. Ryan Edmonds has started hosting Nerf shootouts in Lowburn at the local community hall as a source of entertainment during the cold, wet weather. He used Nerf guns himself as a kid, but stumbled upon the idea to host shootouts quite by accident.
Well, I was in one of the op shops and I just they were going to chuck out a whole bunch of guns, and I thought it would be quite cool actually for the kids in the local area as a way to bring them together actually. And I had some old ones at home, and it just seemed sort of like a natural way to bring people in the community together.
The martial arts teacher tested the concept at his recent 21st birthday, with the success swaying him to open it up to the community. He constructed an arena full of foam obstacles and jumps, creating the ideal space for a Nerf battle. The young entrepreneur says he felt it was a good way to kickstart his desired career in business.
I'm still sort of trying to work out my way in the world, and this sort of felt like a natural step
Nerf blasters have been used for generations for over 25 years, with the shootout arena proving very popular with the Loburn locals, both young and old. In Loburn, the South Today.
While the ski season's well underway, despite a lack of good snow overall, it was another sport attracting people to Queenstown last weekend. The resort town held the 10th annual Tucker Beach Rush Disc Golf Tournament, with all eyes on one Southland teenage prodigy.
These discs are flying all over the shores of Queenstown's Shotover River, as the 10th annual Tucker Beach Rush Tournament got underway this weekend. Around 100 disc golfers from across the country gathered in the resort town to go head-to-head on the 27-hole course. There was a variety of skilled competitors, with categories ranging from Pro Open to junior levels. Queenstown Disc Golf Club President Hemi Tiawhitu says the sport is growing in popularity and is proud the club can host 2 PDGA sanctioned events in the basin.
It is, yeah, we're really proud of this tournament, especially hanging around for 10 years now. It's special to the club obviously, and it's our second New Zealand tour event for the year on the calendar,
And to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the tournament, the club commissioned a commemorative black and gold disc for each competitor to take home.
So we've done a commemorative disc for this year's tournament. Yep. And everybody who enters the tournament will receive one of these discs. Oh wow. And around the outside here it's just got all the winners, the overall winners throughout the years.
All eyes were on the 17-year-old Southland prodigy Levi Stout after coming 5th in the United States Junior World Champs and winning the 2021 Tucker Beach Rush with 16 strokes ahead of his closest competitor. In Queenstown, the South Today.
First responders are the backbone of many New Zealand communities, with many of them volunteering their free time to help others. Now, some community-minded Southland students have taken it upon themselves to give back to the volunteers by baking them some sweet treats.
Putting in some hard mahi in the kitchen. These Gore High School students have been putting their baking skills to the test to work together on a community project. The group decided to bake up some tasty treats as a way to give back to the town's emergency responders. Student Rubius Edwards Whangaparita says the project gave her a sense of school and community pride.
I actually came up with the idea, and I think it would be great to, just give for our first aid responders.
The students planned the community project in partnership with the Graham Dingle Foundation, which encourages pupils to have pride in their community.
I guess it's a lot of team building as well, obviously with a group of people here. But yeah, it's a good reputation as well. They work quite hard. Again, it is just good to give back to them.
The students' baking was delivered to the local Gore emergency services, including the police station, fire station and Hatohone St John's.
They thought that the first responders give so much to the community, and a lot of them are volunteers, so they wanted to show their appreciation on behalf of the community and their gratitude for all that the first responders do by giving them some baking.
The students say the first responders were very grateful for their baking surprise, telling them the tasty treats wouldn't last long. In Gore, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. You can follow Channel 39 on YouTube and the South Today NZ on Facebook to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.